Okay, so we're going to close the simulation. Now, the question is, how do we get and do our bearing holes here? So this is going to be a different setup. So we've got one setup here for the top. We're going to do another setup for the side. So we're going to do setup, new setup down here. We are not going to select a machine. We have our milling type, our orientation. So we're going to change where this Z is, okay? And we're going to select our Z axis, which in this case should go this direction, okay? Because we want the bearing, you got to think about our orientation now. Actually, let's rotate it this way. So this is the orientation we want. We want this to be up now, but notice our axes are not correct here. So our Z-axis, when it's in this orientation, should be like this vertical line here. And our X-axis should be like a line like this across it. And then our box point, we'd want down here. Now notice we have our X going this way, Z going down, but it's not going the right direction because this should be our front left. And then our X axis should be pointing the opposite direction. So we can flip our X, come on back. Every time you do it, it moves it. And our Z, now we're also, hold on. There we go. We flip our X, Y, and Z, or sorry, our Z and our X, and then select this point down here. We now have the appropriate front point force to start at, okay? Now, we're oriented correctly, right? Any questions so far on this? All right. So our model is the body, already selected. And sometimes, by the way, that is not selected. And when you hit OK, like if I have nothing here and then I hit OK, it will give me an error. Okay. So select the model. Now we need to mill these holes here for mounting the gearbox, and these holes for mounting the bearings, the bearing holes. Okay. These mounting holes are 0.196, so we can use an 1/8 inch one and be just fine. So we'll use that same 1/8 inch. It's a T2 tool here, and we'll go ahead and bore those two holes out. So this should be a quick operation for us because we've done this before. We're going to select our, actually, 1/8 inch is already selected. It brings it in from our previous operation for us. So all of this should be the same. We're going to select this hole here, and all of them, they're the same diameter, okay? Yeah, I don't know why it didn't go down and select the other holes down below it, but I'm going to do it from the same Z height here, just to make sure we're only doing them on this side, okay? Then again, for our stock offsets, for our bottom height, we're going to do negative 0.02 for 20,000ths of an inch below that, so it goes just a little bit below that hole and clears it out, okay? And that's it. These other two, again, we're going to leave these just fine. Okay, just the same as they are. And then we're going to go to our bearing holes. Okay. Now our bearings are a little bit different. We're going to actually pocket these out. If we do a boring operation here, and you can try things, right? And I encourage you to go through and try things like this. Let's say we want to go ahead and use a boring operation and try it for this. Let's look at this for a second. We're going to leave all these the same. We're going to do... That's fine. We can just, when you're trying stuff out, by the way, you can do just one of them at a time, and that way, there we go. It just has one. Now, here's what's key right here. Let's look at this. This is absolutely critical, and this is why we don't want to do it. If you'll notice, this is doing an outline around the hole. It's not doing the center of the hole at all. What this means is that when it gets all the way around to that other side and it comes loose, there's just going to be like a quarter size or bigger piece of metal. All right. I don't have things to demonstrate with here very well. Let's say it's hockey puck size, right? So we go around that bearing hole, and it leaves a piece of metal in the center, and all of a sudden that piece of metal is flying around because it just got cut loose. Now it hits our end mill and it breaks it. That would be bad. Okay. So typically, what I see being done here is instead of a boring operation where we have that piece of metal that we leave in the center, we're going to hit cancel here. And the reason, by the way, it works on the other holes is because our end mill is greater than the radius, right? Greater than the radius of that hole. If it's greater than the radius of the hole, you're not going to have anything left, okay, when you do a boring operation. When the diameter of the end mill is greater than the radius of the hole, you won't have anything left in the hole, all right? Just, I mean, it's common sense, right? You're actually using something that's larger to go around that hole, and it doesn't leave anything in the very center of it. Okay, so let's get out of this. We're not going to use this, so I'm just going to take this, and you can delete it. Okay, no big deal. Instead, we're going to do, let's do a 2D pocket. All right, this is where we're going to go in. We're going to, typically we want to use something that's a little bit bigger and not use our really fine 1/8 inch or 16th inch. We want to choose something a little bit bigger for this. I'm just going to choose 3/8 because I think that's a reasonable amount, and it kind of balances things a little bit. Okay. All right. So now I've got our 3/8 inch. So what we're saying here is we're going to do the first holes, and then we're going to put a new end mill in, and we're going to have to figure out the new Z height on this as well. So we'll get into that when I actually show you setting this up on the CNC machine. But that's the decision we made here. So over here in our tool selections, by the way, you see that it's T2, which is our first 1/8 inch. We use an 1/8 inch again, and then we go to our 3/8 inch and make our tool change. Okay. Now, if I were doing this, I would probably do the 1/8 inch one on all sides and do that first, and then come back, or at least on the top and the bottom. And then on these sides, I would do my change outs. Okay. All right. So we've got this, all these defaults come in, that's fine. Now we're going to select our pockets. And we want to make sure we're selecting the bottom of the pocket that we are going to want it to take everything out of. So we want it to be that bottom. If it's the top, it's just going to go around the top of it and not do anything. Okay. We're going to do our heights again. And here it's the same sort of thing where we want to go down just a little bit. Okay. -0 or 0.02 for 20 thousandths of an inch. All right. Now here we're going to do something a little bit different, and you'll notice it has this here to start with. Okay, this is a default setting for a pocket operation because Fusion 360 already knows that a pocket operation is not the most precise operation for getting rid of material. All right, so it says, hey, let's leave some stock here. You'll come back and clear that out later, and we're going to do that in just a minute. All right, so this is perfect. We want to leave the stock to leave. We're going to leave the rest of these the way they are right now. Okay, then we're going to click OK. Well, and then these linking are all fine too. Okay, now you can do different things here. Like change your leads and transitions. So this determines how well it, or the angles that it comes in and actually starts doing work and things like that. Each one of these settings that you change will change the path of it just a little bit. And you can play around with these and see how it actually changes them as you go. I'm going to leave all of this the way it's currently set up. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So now we can see that it goes down through here, and notice the path. What it's doing is it's creating a hole here first. So you see the red. Okay. So you see the red going around it. And then once it gets all the way down, then you can see the lead in right here in the center. Okay. Right here in the center, is where this spiral ends. So the red goes round and round and round, comes down here and ends here, and then it starts just taking out the entire hole at that point and going around in a circle until it gets everything done. So let's simulate. So I usually go to the setup first, do simulate, transparent, this is all good. Now, we've got two operations happening here. Again, I started on setup, so it's going to simulate this boring operation first and then the 2D pocket. Okay. Now I can skip from one operation to the next by hovering over this and clicking on it. And notice it goes to my next operation down here. All right. I'm just going to do this pocket operation to make sure everything's good here. Notice my line down here is green all the way across right now. Okay, that means that both of my operations have worked successfully so far. All right, so let's slow it down just a little and start it. So notice it goes down, and then it goes around and around. And you can kind of see here, it's a little bit different colors. It actually is changing the colors and showing it being etched out as it's going. Right? It's taking a little bit more and more of it, which is kind of cool. So it's actually showing all of that coming out. All right, now we have the setup for the tools automatically set up so that you're not taking too much of a bite at any one point in time here. All right, that's really important. Otherwise, your end mill can break. So it's called speeds and feeds. We already have these set up for you. You just have to select the tool, and the defaults for this will come in automatically. Now, if we have a lot of these to do and we are really hurting for time, we can tune this a little bit more to have it go faster and hopefully not break anything. Okay, now a couple things to notice here. It got done. And notice we still have a little bit of an edge all the way around the outside of it, right? You can see that right here from this line to where it actually took it out. That's 20 thousandths of an inch. And that's the operation we have to come back in now and take out that 20 thousandths of an inch to make it absolutely perfect, okay? I'm gonna close this, and the way we do this, let me go back out here. All right. All right, the way we do this is to add another operation here, and we're going to do the 2D contour. The contour is used many times to do that last final pass because you've got everything else etched out. All you're doing is the final contour, the final path around your part or on the interior of a hole like this, okay? And it shows you in this, when you go over it, that it can either do the outside contour or the interior contour of a hole. Okay, we're going to select it. It brings it down here. It automatically puts our end mill again and puts our feeds and speeds in automatically for us. Okay, all of this is good then. All right, we need to select our contour. This is again where we want to select this contour at the very bottom so that it comes in here and does that contour all the way around it. Okay. The rest of these are fine. We don't need any of these. Now, our height, again, we're going to go down just a little bit to make sure we're going all the way through the hole. All right. So that's our 20 thousandths of an inch below. And then all of this should be generally really good. Yeah. So our passes, we don't have to worry about here. Smoothing. Notice stock to leave is not selected. That's important. We don't want to leave 20 thousandths of an inch. This is where we want to go in and get rid of everything. Okay. Smoothing tolerance at a thousandths of an inch. That's fine. So all the rest of these should be good. And the linking should be fine as well. All right. All right. So once we click OK, that makes our final pass and takes it out of there. So if I go into setup, simulate, I go to my second and then third operation. And the reason I do this is so it shows it taking out each of those. And then I hit go. Notice, we'll zoom in. Notice here, you can see all the way around, you can see a little edge, but where it's moved here, it's taken that edge away. Very, very helpful, and always run the simulate. Okay. Once it's done, again, we double check to make sure that all of this is green along the bottom, and it is. By the way, it's running over again. I didn't hit stop when it got done. Okay, so this is the final pass. And it's done and it goes up. Couple things to note, you can see the tool path. The tool goes down and then it shifts inward and comes back up. This is a good thing. It doesn't take out any more than what we want, right? So everything is good here. All right, and then we're done. So this takes out all of our bearing holes. Well, kind of. It took out one bearing hole. So another thing to notice in this is when we did this original pocket operation, notice how it just did one of these. It did not do all of these, okay? Unlike with the boring operation, you can't select doing the same diameter holes everywhere, okay? A pocketing operation is different and it does not allow you to select all holes of the same size. So what we gotta do is if we wanna get all these bearing holes done, we just have to go in and select them. Not a big deal. Okay. This is a big deal if you have 50 of these to do, but not a big deal if we only have a few. Okay. So that's great. We got these done now, but we only did these for our pocket operation. Let's go back into our contour operation, go into our selection again, and we're going to want to select again the contour of the second one and of the third one. Okay.